just funny to me when I heard the term intellectual dark web years ago. I really would say the channels I was watching and the information I was watching was part of that. And I would say that was from 2014 to about 2017, 18. And then we all know what happened in 2019. Also, a lot of channels on YouTube and were basically taken off of YouTube. A lot of people lost their channels. But nowadays, if you Google the term intellectual dark web, you're going to see Joe Rogan, Sam Harris, Eric Weinstein, Ben Shapiro, and Jordan Peterson. And out of that group, I would say Jordan Peterson is the only intellectual out of that group. I cannot say Joe Rogan is. I cannot. I mean, he might have people on there that are intellectuals on his podcasts, but I've tried to see what side Joe Rogan is on, and it's pretty obvious. You know, he'll have certain YouTube channels like Bright Insight, you know, guys that are kind of mainstream but not fully mainstream. He'll have Eddie Bravo on, he'll have Randall Carlson on, and you know, I'm not saying all those guys are mainstream shills or whatever people would like to call them, but he's not going to have Santos Bonacci. He's not going to have Archaics. You know, he's not going to have John Levy. He's not going to have Flat Earth British. He's not going to have Michelle Gibson on there. And, you know, to me, that's the real intellectual dark web, is those channels. UAP channel. Static in the Attic. I would even say the Fullerton Informer. David Icke. You know, these are real intellectuals that will never be mainstream. You know, even David Icke kind of is mainstream. But yet Joe Rogan will have Alex Jones on there. And Alex Jones bears no qualities of being an intellectual. That guy, my roommate back in the day used to love Alex Jones, and you know, I admit that I didn't disagree with a lot of what Alex Jones was saying, just how he's saying it, and the amount of attention he requires. You know, he sells products that he's making a lot of money off of, and he doesn't need to do that. If he was really against the system, he would find a way to give that money back to the people that support him. You know, when I see stickers on people's cars with InfoWars, and it's like they want to pretend to be in the truther community, but they only will go so far. And to me, being an intellectual, you know, is about involving ideas and doing your own research, being autodidactic, who I would put in that category also. Autodidactic channel is fantastic. So it's just not surprising, but it's just a shame, because there's a lot of channels out there that will never ever see the light of day, and they are the true intellectuals, if you ask me. You know, if you Google any articles about what the intellectual dark web is, it says things like, you know, they reject mainstream opinions and reject mainstream political views. And it's like, you know, how hard is that nowadays? You know, what mainstream political view is not, or, you know, every political view that comes from mainstream is pretty hard to reject, or pretty easy to reject. It's pretty hard to go with, is what I meant to say. Because, you know, it's the level of insanity to accept any of these political views would be very high. I mean, you'd have to be an insane person to think that any of the mainstream politics will ever be good for us. And, you know, it's proven that it hasn't been good for us for quite some time, probably since inception. So, I mean, that's an easy. And how are Joe Rogan's got 15.1 million subscribers. That's pretty mainstream. Sam Harris, 614,000. Not too crazy, but again, you know, the highest person on my list would be Santos Bonacci, and I think maybe 300,000 subscribers tops. I don't even think it's that many. I can't remember. So, you know, it's still blowing most people on YouTube out of the water. Jordan Peterson, 7.2 million. Again, that's pretty mainstream. Ben Shapiro, 6.6 million subscribers. Pretty mainstream. You know, and I want to, you know, channels like Howdy Mikowski, you know, that's an intellectual right there. And again, he's never going to have, you know, 400,000 subscribers. I don't know his exact number, but I guarantee it's a lot less than that. And probably I would put his mind up there with Jordan Peterson any day. I would love to see Howdy Mikowski on Joe Rogan, but it will never happen because Joe Rogan is mainstream. He's not a dark web intellectual. You know, Quantum of Consciousness. Again, he's been on YouTube for almost 15 years now, I want to say, maybe. And the amount of subjects and research he has done would blow away Sam Harris and blow away Eric Weinstein. Graham Hancock probably would be, you know, Graham Hancock would probably sound like a moron if he was talking to Quantum of Conscious, because I would be willing to bet Matt from Quantum of Conscious would make these guys look like fools, because they have seen the mainstream research and they picked it apart many times over and proven that it's easy to pick apart. So, you know, what subjects like ancient history, you know, Graham Hancock wouldn't be able to accept in his paradigm half the things that John Levy or Archaics or Michelle Gibson would bring to the table, and I'm sure Graham Hancock knows of these people, but will never mention them. I know he steals research from a lot of these channels, but again, he twists it to fit his paradigm. So it's just funny to me. It's really funny and sad at the same time. But, you know, with that being said, there's got to be at least 300,000 to 500,000 people that have seen accumulation of all these channels of UAP channel, John Levy, Static in the Attic, Archaics, Michelle Gibson, Robert Seffer. There's got to be at least 300,000 to 500,000 people that have seen those channels. And not just one, all of those channels. So there is a collective, there is so much information just by watching one or two of those channels. And if you were to watch 4 or 5 of those channels and get the collective information that they are all giving to you, I mean, that's such a vast amount of subjects being researched by the collective of those channels, the real intellectual dark web, and stuff you can actually use and utilize in your daily, in your daily activities, in your daily thought process. To me, they're giving so much back just by doing the research that they want to do. It's not, nobody's really being forced to do this. I would think Joe Rogan is being forced to do this. I would think Eric Weinstein is being forced to do this. So again, I don't see how that can be nothing but mainstream, activity. It's all mainstream based. Everything they say and talk about, or else they wouldn't have 6.6 million subscribers. As much as they want to call themselves renegades and free thinkers, they're not promoting any channels that aren't mainstream. So I don't see how you can call that the intellectual dark web. They might be the step below mainstream, but it's still mainstream. So, just wanted to throw that out there.